Welcome to Man in America, a voice of reason in a world that has gone completely mad. I'm your host, Seth Holhouse, and thank you so much for joining me live tonight. This is Sunday with Seth, and we're going to have some fun tonight. We've got some nice, fun conspiracies about the government and big pharma. We'll be looking at what's happening with the Iran war, the Strait of Hormuz. What is Trump talking about with the greatest reset, as he recently mentioned? And we'll be looking at a whole lot more. So I'm looking forward to this. I hope you are too. Just a quick reminder that if you have any questions or comments, I'll be pulling up the comment sections for Rumble and YouTube throughout the show. And I've got a team that's watching the comments coming in. So if you have questions you want me to get to, just drop them into the chat message, put question in there, write your question, or if you have a comment, and I'll be doing my best to get through those throughout the show, because tonight's show is really, it's a more relaxing night. It's about just connecting with you, seeing how you're doing, just having some back and forth, looking at just the insanity of the world and just trying to make some sense of it and come out on the other side with a little bit of happiness. And so before we jump in, though, just a few quick points. Make sure that you, wherever you're watching at, hit that like button, that subscribe button, especially on Rumble. If you're watching on Rumble right now, just hit that thumbs up button. It really helps the algorithm, helps the show do better on there. On YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're one of like the, 5 people that get the notifications, because I'm so shadow banned on YouTube, do the same there. It's much appreciated. Also, every show is done as a podcast as well. So if you want to listen instead of watch, just get your favorite podcast app like Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever it is you're listening, Podbean. Just search for Man in America, look for my face with a beard on there, hit that subscribe button, you'll find me on there as well. Then before we jump in, just have a few quick messages from a few show sponsors, which are, I really appreciate these sponsors that will actually put their brand on a show like mine. I'm not part of the controlled network where I get the official things being fed to me. I'm just a guy, an honest man in America, who's trying to figure out what's going on. So any sponsor that is willing to support this show, a big thanks to them, because it's not easy. Honestly, it's not easy. So getting into that, first off, I've got Tax Network USA. So this is actually really important. So look, if you owe back taxes, if you have unfiled tax returns, or if you just filed every year but you still keep owing, or if you retire and you get hit with a big tax bill you didn't expect, if you're a business, you've got messy books that you get to kind of sort through, Tax Network can really help with that. Even if you're pulling your money out of your 401k or IRA and now you owe IRS for that. Doesn't matter how your tax issue started, the outcome's the same. Your balance is not going down, penalties grow, interest compounds, and many of you are about to owe again for this tax year. So if you don't have a plan, stop what you're doing and call Tax Network USA. The IRS is not waiting. They're enforcing collections through wage garnishments, bank levies, and property seizures. They can even file for you without your consent. So that's where Tax Network USA comes in. With over 15 years in business, there hasn't been a tax case that they haven't seen or resolved. They specialize in tax controversies. They help taxpayers nationwide get back on track by resolving back taxes and unfilled returns once and for all. So whether you owe tens of thousands of dollars or $10 million, their team has resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. They can do the same for you, but you have to call them now. So they're offering a free investigation call with the IRS. So after that investigation, they put a clear case plan in place to resolve your problem and get you back on track. It's about using your legal rights to take control before the government sets the terms for you. So don't wait for another IRS letter or a frozen bank account. Call 866-686-1359. Again, that's 866-686-1359, or visit tnusa.com/MIA. The phone number and the link are also in the description. Another thing, beyond the Tax Network is just another financial thing. Just a big shout out to Rumble, right? So Rumble, where I'd probably say 95% of my audience is actually on Rumble. Look, I know they're a public company and there's different kind of varying interests, but I can tell you as a creator on Rumble, I have never, ever been censored by them, and they continue to support me and just kind of encourage me as one of their creators. And I just big, thanks to them. Now, they've also got something really kind of cool happening with crypto. And I'm not a big crypto guy. However, it is a way of moving your money out of a system that can freeze your bank account, block your transactions, or just decide that you're too risky for them to deal with, right? So why would you want to use a wallet that's within that system, right? So that's the contradiction that most people are living in. So Rumble Wallet is built to fix that. So it's a self-custodial wallet. That means there's no bank holding your balance. So not even Rumble can touch your funds, your keys, your money, nothing. And it's not just storage. So Rumble Wallet lives in an ecosystem that's actually committed to free speech and financial freedom, right? As I told you. So you can actually tip creators directly, right? Making one-time chain payments in Bitcoin, Tether Gold, etc. And you can move value in anywhere in the world without asking permission for anyone. So most wallets stop at storage. This one connects your money to a marketplace of ideas. It refuses to be silent. So if sovereignty matters to you, financially, digitally, this is how you can act on it. Go to wallet.rumble.com or search for Rumble Wallet in your app store, download it, back up your recovery phrase, and put your money where it belongs in your own hands. So Rumble Wallet is a technology provider only and not a custodial service. So see the terms at wallet.rumble.com. And again, that description, or the information for that, is in the show description. Now, again, like I said, I'm not a big crypto guy. However, I trust crypto more than I trust the banking system, right? And I look at crypto as just one of the many tools that you have. And I'll be getting into that in tonight's show, looking at kind of breaking down kind of, financial freedom outside of the system, because there's some pretty big warnings I want to kind of bring your attention to. So we'll be getting to that. Okay, let's get ready to jump in. Okie dokie. So the tick stuff, this is absolutely crazy. Though it seems to make more sense than the things that are more normal, I guess. So they're warning us that it's going to be a really bad tick season. So this is a Time article that just came out. This is on March 30th, and you're seeing this coverage everywhere. They're talking about just how bad the tick season is going to be. Now, thankfully, Time has done their research, and they've identified what is actually causing the tick issue, right? And no, it's not the government lab. It's not they're dropping things from planes or spraying them from the skies or dropping boxes of ticks on farmer fields. No. According to Time magazine, climate change, imagine right there, okay? Climate change is actually causing the tick problem. Who would have known, right? It's all the farting cows and all the fossil fuel usage. It's climate change. It's not the government. It's not some Fort Detrick lab. It's climate change. So just so you know, it's nothing. It's not your fault. Okay. Anyway, this is it's just suspicious, right? Again, when I see these kinds of articles coming out like this, it's going to be a bad tick season. Well, okay, I can tell you just from my own personal experience. So I live in upstate New York. And if you look at what they're saying here, they're saying that climate change is leading to warmer winters. This past winter was one of the warmest on record. Not for me. Like, I live not just me, I talked about, I've got family in Ohio still. So between kind of rural New York and rural Ohio, it's been a freezing cold winter. Like, this winter has been the most cold and the most snow-covered winter for probably the last decade or so that I can remember. Yet they're telling us it's the warm winters. But thankfully, they've solved it for us. They've let us know that it's climate change that's caused the issue. But gosh, thank Albert Bourla, they've now got a new vaccine coming out to protect us from the ticks that are breeding like crazy because of climate change. I mean, what a great system that we have here, that they tell us about how bad the climate change is. Then they warn us, they're warning us ahead of time. Hey, there's going to be a lot of ticks, so just look out, be careful out there. But they don't just warn us. They're so kind that they're going to be developing vaccines to help save us from the ticks, that climate change is causing this huge increase in population. So this is coincidentally, look at the funny timing of this, right? So this is Monday, March 23rd. This article came out. This is on Pfizer's website, that Pfizer has announced a Lyme disease vaccine candidate that demonstrates strong efficacy in phase 3 Valor trial. Okay, they're basically saying that They're developing this vaccine that's going to help us prevent Lyme disease, okay? But look at the timing. March 23rd, this comes out. We've got a Time magazine article. Not just Time. This is all over the place. I just picked the Time one because it looked nice on screen. Okay, March 30th, they've got the warning. It's going to be a bad tick season. Here's how to protect yourself. I wonder if they mention here, you better go line up to get your new Pfizer shot because that's what you're going to have to do. Anyway, it's just, you can see the same patterns over and over. I'm on YouTube, right? So I can't talk super openly about what I really think is going on, but I think you get the point of what I think is going on here. Now, what's kind of interesting though, is that let's go ahead and dig into ticks and Lyme disease in general, because there's a lot of research I want to kind of bring to your attention here. Before we do that though, let's just take a quick look over at this is the Rumble chat. So here we go. As an example, okay, this is Rumble. Let's see how many we've got. Over 4,000 or 5,000 people watching on Rumble. I don't have my YouTube up, but I think YouTube, last I checked, there was maybe 5 waiting for the show to start. So this is the difference. So right here we've got, hey, big shout out to anyone who's on Rumble. Make it a little bigger for you so you can see what's going on here. Yeah. So again, if you're watching on YouTube, just please go start using Rumble. It's a free speech platform. They let me say whatever I want to. And it's a great thing. So anyway, I just want to make sure you give a shout out to everyone that if you're live in the chat, I'll be pulling this up, all the time. So just, let us know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your comments. But then getting into this, okay, this is kind of crazy though, right? What we're seeing, here's a post. This is by Noah, who says, they say it wasn't an accident. The ticks didn't just spread. They were released, altered, carried into the wild with intent. Lyme became more than a disaster. It became a boundary. So forests once open turned uncertain, hunting grounds turned hostile, and even the act of stepping outside carried a cost. Okay, so according to those who study the pattern, it served a purpose: limit movement, erode self-sufficiency, replace independence with caution, and then caution with dependence. If you can't trust the land, you return to the systems built to manage you. Okay, one thing remains undeniable: fear will change behavior, and behavior is where control begins. So this is, I don't have a bunch of videos like this because they're to be honest, it's like nightmare fuel looking at these things. But this is a video the guy has of a dead deer covered in ticks. I'm sorry if you're eating right now. Just close your eyes. But I'm seeing so many videos like this. Just videos of whether it's animals, dogs, people walking in the woods, and they've literally got ticks crawling all over them. It's absolutely insane. But what's crazy about this is if you look at the history of the ticks, which we'll be getting into, there's much more to this story. Now, there's also been a lot of stories going around of farmers that are finding these boxes of ticks. Now, I tried to find the source. I tried to find the TikTok video or whatever video of a farmer holding up a box of ticks. I couldn't find it. So if you look online, you'll see there's a lot of people talking about, all the farmers are saying there's boxes of ticks are finding. Is that true? There's a good chance it is, but I couldn't find any of the original source of it. However, I found so many videos of people walking and just showing in like literally thousands and thousands of ticks crawling all over them from just walking through the woods. So whether there's boxes of ticks being dropped, it doesn't really matter that much because the tick population is exploding. It's absolutely exploding. And so I want to get into though the reality of what's behind ticks, what's behind Lyme disease, what's behind, I think it was a Rocky Mountain fever. Because if you trace these things back, which I'll be getting into, kind of going back through history, look at this stuff. This is stuff that came out of a lab, and it's not some quack conspiracy theory. So here I've got just a short, about a minute and a half or so segment I'm going to play. This is an interview with Tucker. Tucker interviewed a former bioweapons contractor. So just listen to this, okay? So again, this woman was a former bioweapons contractor that worked with the U.S. government, had a lot of sources inside the Pentagon, military, etc. So just listen to this. And I'll go ahead and full screen this for you so you can just focus on this. Let's actually, no, I'll leave it as it is. Anyway, watch this. It's about a minute and a half long.
So what is tick weaponization? So in the interviews with Willie, what he said was, I spent over a decade in the biological weapons program, a contractor to Fort Detrick, working on weaponizing fleas, ticks, and mosquitoes, trying to mass produce them, stuffing fleas with the plague, stuffing mosquitoes with deadly Trinidad virus, and then stuffing ticks with either deadly or incapacitating diseases like relapsing fever, Venezuelan equine encephalitis, rabies, leptospirosis, which is another spirochete. So it's just like Dr. Strangelove trying to make new diseases, mixing bacteria and virus in ticks with the intent of, this is the perfect stealth weapon. It's poor man's nuke. You drop these insects on an enemy, it weakens the population, it ties up the medical resources, but doesn't destroy infrastructure like a nuclear bomb would. And in one report from a bean counter in the military, they said, tularemia, which is tick-borne tularemia, also rabbit fever, we can kill 10,000 people at $1.33 a life. So anyways, it was just, there was more to tick-borne diseases than we realized, and I began suspecting that Willie was right, given this context.
I mean, how insane is this, that she's talking to this person, talking about this military conversation, the bean counter, right? Some sort of analyst saying that with this particular tick-borne disease, they could easily kill 10,000 people, but the cost would be $1.33 a person, which there's your 33, which you follow the Masonic stuff, but even still, $1.33 per person. But what she's also talking about in this interview is how you can do it to a population without wiping out infrastructure. You can overload the hospital systems with these illnesses. You can do all that, but you don't have to go lay waste to cities, buildings, etc. You're not dropping bombs that are going to cause mass havoc. But they're even calculating it costs $1.33 per person. So this is wild. But actually, so Dr. Robert Malone, he had a Substack article he put out within the past couple of weeks where, it was a long article where he went through and went into the history of these diseases in the labs. And so I put together a summary of his research. So credit to Dr. Robert Malone for pulling this together. And so I've got I'm going to kind of run through with you here. And I'll skip over some of it because it's still pretty dense, but I just want to kind of highlight some of these things and keep in mind, this is based upon declassified information. So this isn't speculation. It's not some anonymous whistleblower. This is actually declassified documents that you can find that outline these exact programs. So let's just kind of walk through. Okay, so Lyme disease appears out of nowhere and spreads faster than anyone can explain. So in 1975, a cluster of children in Old Lyme, Connecticut were diagnosed with a mysterious arthritis. Within years, it had spread across the Northeast. Today, it's the most common vector-borne illness in the U.S., roughly 500,000 new cases annually. The official story is that a naturally occurring tick-borne bacteria that humans simply hadn't encountered before. But the geography was strange, the timing was strange, and the town where it first appeared sits 13 miles from a secret government research island. Okay, so the key facts: Old Lyme, Connecticut, so that's a town that gave the disease its name. It sits directly across the Long Island Sound from what's called Plum Island. So the Long Island Sound region saw 3 separate tick-borne diseases emerge simultaneously in 1968. So this is what's kind of crazy. This region, they saw 3 separate tick-borne diseases emerge simultaneously in 1968. Okay, so babesiosis, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and early Lyme arthritis. So 3 distinct pathogens appearing in the same small region at the same time is a statistical anomaly, right, to say the least. So by the 90s, the eastern end of Long Island had the highest concentration of Lyme disease anywhere in the world. Now, so I live in New York, and I'm probably from Long Island, where I'm at, it's like a 3-hour drive. So I'm definitely in the region roughly where this stuff is spreading. And actually, I know a lot of people that I know have had Lyme disease. Last year, my nanny, she had Lyme disease. She was out for like 2 weeks. My producer and her daughter, they both live in the same area. They both had Lyme disease, like really bad. I think even my youngest daughter, Grace, I think she might have gotten Lyme disease recently, which is terrible. Thankfully, I think it was pretty minor, but it's like this, it's a common thing, right? So let's go and take a look at this. So the program, so while the public watched Vietnam, the Pentagon was building something almost as large as the Manhattan Project. So in 1962, Defense Secretary Robert McNamara authorized Project 112, which was a biological weapons testing program involving every branch of the military and the intelligence agencies. So it's 134 scheduled tests, hundreds of undisclosed additional experiments. So testing sites were the U.S., Egypt, Liberia, South Korea, Okinawa, the Arctic. So Fort Detrick, which is the center of this, their production capacity was 100 million infected mosquitoes per month, 50 million fleas per week. This is insane. So here, these are some actual operations they did. So Operation Big Itch, which you can find the documents. So Operation Big Itch was in 1954. So 670,000 tropical rat fleas were deployed from cluster bombs at the Dugway Proving Ground, so which they proved that arthropods survive aerial delivery and immediately seek hosts. So literally, like, they can explode these cluster bombs, right? Drop these cluster bombs, which are then kind of spitting out hundreds of thousands or even millions of kind of insects, right? Fleas, ticks, mosquitoes that are carrying these pathogens. So Operation Big Buzz, which was in 1955, was over 300,000 yellow fever mosquitoes were aerially deployed over Georgia. And I think it was actually poor black regions of Georgia where they did this. Okay, so the program integrated Nazi bioweapons scientists that were brought over through Operation Paperclip, including Erich Traub, the head of Hitler's biological warfare program under Himmler. So Traub visited Plum Island on at least 3 occasions and was offered the directorship multiple times. So Project 112's existence was denied for 50 years despite involving thousands of personnel and documented tests across multiple continents. So in 1962, the CIA deployed weaponized ticks on civilians. And we actually have a firsthand account of this. So a CIA operative now in his 70s described flying nighttime missions in a C-123 transport aircraft, skimming the surface of the Caribbean to avoid Cuban radar, and dropping infected ticks on sugarcane workers as a part of Operation Mongoose. He called it the strangest thing he ever did. So the Kennedy administration's effort to destabilize Castro's Cuba, that was what was happening at the time. So the operation was canceled only when the shifting winds made the accurate payload delivery difficult. So literally, okay, his CIA commander's instructions were burn all the clothes you took to Cuba, burn everything. Okay, so the declassified documents confirm 32 operational tasks under Operation Mongoose. And the methodology sections remain heavily redacted, but described by officials as so repugnant that they stayed classified decades later. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the scientist who weaponized the ticks became the man credited with discovering Lyme disease. This is kind of strange. So Willy Bergdorfer, yeah, obviously an American citizen, right? No, this guy's from Switzerland. And so in 1951, he was recruited specifically to work on tick-borne pathogen weaponization at the Rocky Mountain Laboratory. I wonder why they call it Rocky Mountain Fever when they were doing the pathogen weaponization at Rocky Mountain Laboratory. There's probably no correlation there, okay? So his documented assignments included packaging plague-infected fleas for cluster bomb deployment, determining lethal doses of yellow fever virus and infecting mosquitoes, and experimenting with ways to infect ticks with more than one pathogen simultaneously. He spent most of his career as a weapons researcher before his transition into civilian silence. So this guy worked alongside the Operation Paperclip Nazi scientists at Fort Detrick. He also traveled to England and Czechoslovakia to collaborate with Allied bioweapons programs. And in 2007, when documentary filmmakers tried to interview him, a government scientist pounded on the door demanding to sit in, indicating an active official concern about what he might say. Okay, here's another instance. Okay, the tick release. So they released 282,000 radioactive ticks on U.S. soil right along the migration routes that led to Long Island. So between 1966 and 1969, the military released roughly 300,000 Lone Star ticks tagged with carbon-14 radioactive markers across sites in Virginia, specifically placed along the Atlantic Flyway migration corridor running up the eastern seaboard. The isotope allowed researchers to track the ticks using Geiger counters for years afterwards. So a Geiger counter, like I used to actually use these things when I was dealing with vintage watches, because you could actually see if a vintage watch, the old school watches actually had I think it was iridium. I think there's a substance actually they use for the glowing part of the watches, the hands and the numbers and whatnot on the dials. And so you could actually use a Geiger counter to see if they were radioactive, and you could tell if it was the original watch face. So in vintage watches, it's a big deal. So what they did is they literally took all these radioactive ticks. They dropped nearly 300,000 of these ticks full of radioactive stuff so they could monitor them. And it's like, hey, let's just see what happens. Okay. So that's what they say is that within years of the releases, established populations appeared on Long Island for the first time in recorded history. So again, crazy stuff going on. So looking at Plum Island. So this is the kind of the central, this is the kind of headquarters of these operations. So from 1952 to 69, Plum Island was operated by the U.S. Army Chemical Corps for biological warfare research, not agriculture. The facility maintained over 200,000 ticks of varying species, personally collected from locations as far as Cameroon, Africa. So they ran outdoor experiments with live pathogens, and containment by their own admission was not sealed. So deer from Lyme, Connecticut regularly swam to the island. Local birds flew back and forth, but nobody tracked what left. So basically you have this island, Plum Island, where they're releasing hundreds of thousands of these infected ticks, and they're not concealing it. It's almost as if they were trying to release these into the population of the United States. I mean, who would have thought the government was doing this kind of stuff? Okay. So the key facts is that the test animals mingled with wild deer, test birds with wild birds, these are documented in the facility records. So these records confirm that the outdoor experiments with diseased ticks in the 50s concurrent with the documented use of the weaponized organisms in Korea. So the Department of Agriculture denied that Lyme was ever studied there until 93, when Newsday obtained classified documents proving that biological warfare research had occurred at that site. Now again, Nazi scientist Erich Traub visited Plum Island at least 3 times and was repeatedly offered the directorship there. Okay, so buried science. So in the late 70s, while investigating the Connecticut outbreak, Bergdorfer found a second pathogen in blood samples from Long Island and Connecticut patients. He called it the Swiss agent, a Rickettsia variant. So blood from the Lyme patients showed very strong reactions. He documented it in letters to colleagues, then left it entirely out of his landmark 1982 Science paper, the paper that made him famous and established the modern Lyme framework. His own notes indicate that he was told to admit it. The suppressed research sat in boxes in his garage until it was discovered after his death in 2014. So this is a guy that they credited, as far as I understand, they credit this guy with actually discovering Lyme, but this guy was he was the person that was involved with creating this. So it says the omission of the Swiss agent may directly explain why chronic Lyme patients who don't respond to standard antibiotic protocols have never been adequately treated. So treatment for diseases is caused by genetically modified or multi-pathogen organisms and may require fundamentally different protocols than treatment for naturally occurring infections. Okay. So here's the confession that never came. I didn't tell you everything, and then he died. So in 2013, as we mentioned before, filmmakers recorded Bergdorfer on video. He confirmed his bioweapons background. He insinuated there had been an accidental release of some kind, and he stopped short of specifics. And the camera stopped rolling, and he smiled and said, "I didn't tell you everything." They pressed him, but he wouldn't go further. He died in 2014. Among his effects were as a handwritten note reading, "I wondered why somebody didn't do something." Okay, so again, the bigger picture here. The same playbook runs every time, regardless of who's in power or what country it happens in. Researchers compare the institutional response to Lyme's origins against two other cases, SARS-CoV-2 in China and the 2024 African swine fever outbreak in Spain, which occurred 150 meters from a research facility and triggered an $8.8 billion economic crisis. All three cases across different political systems and different pathogens followed an identical sequence. Okay, here's the playbook. Okay, initial cooperation ends up being systemic obstruction, evidence suppression or restricted access to records, promotion of natural origin, right? Natural origin is a bat market or whatever it is. Okay, they're saying these natural origin explanations that deflect their laboratories. They attack the credibility of investigators rather than the engagement with the actual evidence. There's self-investigation instead of independent oversight. And the conclusion we have here is that voluntary transparency consistently fails when the institutions face accountability for biological incidents. The system protects itself every single time. Okay. Anyway, and that's just a short hit. I mean, I could do a whole series on this stuff, but it's just like you see, it's the same stuff over and over again. It's the government creating these diseases, creating these pathogens in a lab, and then releasing them on the public, right? It's not just that the U.S. government is creating these bad diseases so they can go drop them on some terrorists they're probably funding over in the Middle East or wherever it is. These things are being released on the U.S. population. But thankfully, we're so lucky. We're so lucky that Pfizer they're developing a vaccine for this. So, oh my goodness. It's almost like COVID, right? We're so lucky that this disease that came from a wet market in China, and there's this Operation Warp Speed, and they miraculously developed this solution. Okay? Oh, thank you. My goodness. Right? So here in their notes, here are their notes. This is on Pfizer's release on this. The investigational vaccine candidate was well tolerated with no safety concerns identified at time of analysis. It is absolutely safe and effective. Repeat after me. Safe and effective. Safe and effective. It's safe and effective. There we go. Okay. Now, just a quick thing about ticks, because we deal with this obviously in our area, and our girls come in sometimes with ticks on them, right? We're on 7 acres. We're surrounded by woods. So literally, like my house sits in there's a driveway cut out. We've got woods in front of us, woods on both sides, and woods behind us. So we've got woods everywhere. And my children, I have 2 girls, they love playing in the woods. And I encourage it because that's how I grew up, playing outside. It's good for them. They climb trees. They climb on rocks. But we have to check them for ticks, and we do everything that we can. So what we do is we spray. So every spring, we spray all the perimeter areas outside of our kind of perimeter forest areas. No chemicals, though. We use a mix of essential oils. There's certain essential oils that are really good for repelling ticks. But the other thing is this: we've got chickens, right? And in our chickens free range, our eggs are beautiful, by the way. I mean, like beautiful, like vibrant orange eggs, probably because all the ticks that these chickens eat. And so hopefully they digest it and that doesn't come into the eggs. I don't think it does, right? But anyway, fowl are really, really effective for ticks. And so if you do live in an area where you have exposure to a lot of woods, if you're in a place where you can have chickens, where you can free range them, I highly recommend it. I'm even considering getting some guinea fowl. I was actually talking to my wife about this earlier today. So guinea fowl are different than chickens. They're much more wild. They'll live in the woods. They'll live up in the trees. So I'm going to do some research because guinea fowl are really, really effective at eating ticks. But chickens also, like our chickens, they spend all day just basically going through the woods, through the yard, and they're eating any insects they can find. So they're really effective at getting rid of ticks. So there's just a few things just to note for you. One thing is, don't be sold on the idea of these chemical like tick repellents or whatever. We use we don't use any of that kind of stuff in our household anyway. So we have all kinds of like natural sprays and essential oil sprays for the kids before they go out. Like I said, we spray our yard and everything in the perimeter with essential oils that will also keep those ticks at bay. So there are things you can do about it. There's a lot of kind of natural health. I won't be getting into the details of it today, but there's a lot of different ways that people have actually been able to cure Lyme disease. But if you go to your mainstream doctor, they'll tell you that, sorry, we don't have a cure for this, and here's here's your Pfizer shot. Here you go. Anyway, okay, let's go hop back over into the comments and see what's going on over here. If there's any questions. Okay, so Anelli123, if you eat deer meat, can you get Lyme disease? As far as I know, no. Again, we're eating our chicken eggs nonstop, and I don't think we have any issues with that. So I don't know exactly, but from my understanding, if an animal has those ticks on them and you eat that meat and you cook it, it doesn't pass to you. I haven't heard of anybody that's gotten Lyme disease from eating that. I know that if you have a tick on you, it takes, I think it takes like at least 12 to 18 hours before that tick can actually transmit. So that's one thing. That's why it's really important to check yourself when you come in, right? Even if you come inside and you've got a tick bite or you have a tick that kind of bit you, if you catch it quickly and you make sure we have these different special little tools, for kind of pulling the ticks out to make sure you get their head out. But if you pull it out quick enough, as far as I know, it's not really too much of an issue. So yeah, that's a big part of it. Let's see. So Fig Newt says, chickens, we have beautiful eggs too. Love our girls. Yeah. Yes. Fig Newt also says, yes, essential oils. What do you recommend for outdoors? We have a lot of wind here. Let's see. I don't have the exact mix that we use. I buy like a pre-mix thing. I think it's a company called Wonderside that makes sprays and stuff for this. I think there's cedar. I forget exactly which oils there are, but I mean, you can, if you do a little bit of research, I'm sure you can figure it out. But you can definitely, there are actually really healthy ways to help stop this tick issue. Obviously, again, if you can have chickens or guinea fowl, that's great. The other thing too is possums. Possums are they're like tick buffet destroyers, right? So if you have possums, don't kill the possums, just let them be. They're peaceful animals. So if you do have possums on your property, it's actually a good thing. It's like we have bats, right? So we have every night, when it's warmer out there, if you go in my backyard, we'll go with the girls, we'll lay on the trampoline, look up at the sky, and we have bats that are always just flying around. So that's also great because bats they're not going to eat ticks, but they'll eat mosquitoes. So as much as, again, this is going back into kind of, leaning into how God designed things, not man. And there are animals that do a really, really good job of helping to keep the population of these insects down. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that. Okay, let me just check my my question list over here and see if there's any questions coming in. Okay. Okay. I see one question from Agran, sorry, on Rumble, who says, when are they going to finally stop the chemtrails in PA every day? They're covering the skies. Yeah. Yeah, that's a question I have too. It's so frustrating. I have to say, because I live pretty close to the border with Pennsylvania. Actually, I was in Pennsylvania half the day yesterday running errands, and I do notice, as crazy it is, that Pennsylvania has more chemtrails than New York, at least in this area that I'm in. But yeah, I mean, I remember when Trump first got in and RFK was a big deal, and he was talking about chemtrails, and you had was it Lee Zeldin coming out talking about chemtrails, and I thought, gosh, okay, it's going to stop. Thankfully, he's going to stop the chemtrails. No, unfortunately, they're not, right? And I see a question actually over on Rumble. Atlas B says, how many chemtrail jets have been shot down so far? None. Right. And it's really it's really a kind of a crazy thing to think about. This is just that I was literally having this discussion with my wife Kate earlier today as we're outside on our back porch looking up and seeing all the chemtrails, and she's just like, why can't there be some sort of like vigilante group that's doing something about this? Now, I'm not going to say anything too kind of incriminating, because of course I'm not going to wish violence on human beings. However, it's just like it's just insane that these people are just up there just spraying us, right? Just nonstop dumping chemicals on us. And I'm sure they could be dumping ticks. Honestly, for all we know, like they could literally be, as crazy it is. Maybe not the super high altitude, but it's just like it's just insane. Yeah, it's just absolutely insane that this is going on. Yeah. So, yeah. There's a comment that's kind of funny. This is from on Rumble, said Vacantist Bear, who says, RFK, 2 more years and we'll get the poison out of your food. Now he's pushing laser farming. What a douche canoe. Yeah, I do think there's been quite a bait and switch going on with the Maha movement. It's like, yeah, we thought we're going to get justice for Operation Warp Speed. We're like all kinds of things, ending of the chemtrails. And it's like, oh, well, glyphosate's not that bad. And chemtrails are going to keep going. And Operation Warp Speed was a success. So, yep, I know. It keeps going, right? That's why, honestly, for me, for me, it's just kind of, that's why I'm just preparing and just kind of going into what I can control. Here's a good point, actually. This is from Barad over on Rumble, who says, to get rid of ticks forever in your yard, put about 30 pounds or more of diatomaceous earth, spread it all over your yard and flower beds. You'll never see flea or tick again. Been 13 years for me. That's an interesting point. I'd want to look into. My only concern, though, is if you put that diatomaceous earth all over the place, whether if there's any kind of healthy, beneficial insects it's going to kill as well. That's the only thing I'd be kind of hesitant about with that. Is it going to affect the bees? Is it going to affect some of the other bugs that we actually do, that are beneficial? But I use diatomaceous earth in a lot of things. It's actually, you can, if you're preserving flour, if you're storing flour for long-term use, you can actually mix some DE into your flour, like small amounts, because we can have it. You can mix it into your smoothie if you want to, because it's actually can help. It can be beneficial for us. So yeah, it's worth looking at. I saw someone also mention that actually, there you go. Funny enough, yeah, your mom, over on Rumble, who says diatomaceous earth is an effective arthropod killer, safe to use, can be mixed with grain long term for food preservation and storage. Yep, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Okay, so continuing, I want to touch on the war just kind of briefly. And then I want to talk about the kind of great reset, or Trump's greatest reset. So let's go ahead and take a look at those things real quick now. Okay, here we go. Just as an update, I'm not going to be digging into this very much when you're looking at the kind of the bigger things behind this, but just looking at there are pretty significant kind of turn of events happening tomorrow. I think 10 a.m. tomorrow, it's starting. So that Trump just announced that the U.S. itself will now begin blocking the Strait of Hormuz. So it says, this is from the Kobesi letter on X, on Twitter, says that effective immediately, the new U.S. Navy has begun the process of blockading the Strait of Hormuz. So in other words, the U.S. and Iran will now be competing on blocking this crucial waterway. It appears that Trump's long-term plan is to blockade the Hormuz, gain control, and then begin letting traffic flow freely. However, if this is possible to fully obtain, it will be a long process that would further restrict the flow of traffic for at least another 2 months, according to their analysts. As diplomacy appears to have failed, the U.S.'s top priority in the Iran war now appears to be reopening the Strait of Hormuz. We expect a volatile week ahead. Yeah, this is true, right? This is true. Actually, I found a really good video. This is satire, okay? So this is meant to be a joke, but it's good jokes are rooted in reality. So I'm going to play this. This is a minute long. Just this guy does a really good job of just kind of summarizing the absolute insanity of what's happening with this war and just how bad it looks. And so watch this. This is a minute 14 seconds long. This is good for a laugh.
All right, I'm not sure why we're all still having trouble with this. Let's try it again from the top. This is a victory for the U.S. because our goal from day one was for Iran to open the strait that didn't close till after we attacked, which was completely controlled by their military we had total dominance over. And it was a waterway that we could have taken over, but instead asked for help that we didn't need, but we'll remember that our allies did not give us. All because of the negotiating power of a FIFA Peace Prize recipient's threat to annihilate a civilization in order to liberate them from a regime that changed, which was not our goal, but we will take credit for, from an old man who hates us to his younger son who hates us for those reasons and that we killed his father. And while it is not clear the status of Iran's nuclear capabilities that we obliterated last year, but were going to be a problem in 2 weeks, one thing is for sure. They now have more money and control of the strait than they had when they made the old deal that we ended because it was terrible. Now, I think that is enough about authoritarian propagandistic regimes. Does anybody have any questions about the Trump Library golden statue?
You got to laugh at some of this stuff. I mean, honestly, it just seems kind of crazy, right? It's like, okay, the strait was open and operating properly. We attacked them. They closed the strait. Then we allowed them to kind of open up. They're going to charge money. They're going to make billions on, kind of making money through that. They closed it because we attacked them. And then now we're going to go back in because they were going to open it, but then we couldn't. It's like we had a ceasefire. I'm seeing a kind of pattern here. Like Trump establishes some sort of ceasefire, some sort of end, and then Israel goes and bombs another country, which then angers Iran, and they're like, okay, screw you, because Trump, if you're negotiating for a ceasefire, then Israel is not respecting it, and they keep bombing us, and we're going to keep closing the strait, and now we're going to be going in there, and we're going to be forcefully keeping the strait open. It just seems kind of like a crazy situation, I guess. It's almost as if this stuff was being orchestrated from a higher level to create some sort of energy restrictions globally to push us towards some sort of future where we're being monitored for carbon credits and energy becomes scarce, so you can't drive. There was actually legislation that's kind of being kind of moved through the system in certain states in America to limit how much you can drive. I'm not kidding. So, yeah, it just seems like the whole thing is just kind of spiraling out of control, honestly. It just makes me want to become even more insular. I've become even more serious about preparedness. Like, honestly, it's just like the whole thing's just kind of going to heck. But then what's crazy amidst all this is that in the past couple of days, Trump puts this out, saying this single kind of truth he put out saying, world's most powerful reset. Now, it could mean a lot of things. It could mean that with maybe the U.S. taking control of the Strait of Hormuz, that there's a reset in the balance of power. But when you see that word reset and all the things that we know about the Great Reset and Klaus Schwab's book about this, it just makes me think, okay, what's really going on here? Now, there's a lot of speculation of some sort of financial reset happening and moving in some sort of CBDC. Here's a video. This is back from 2025, where Trump is describing the current financial system. So when we've looked at the word reset is very commonly tied in and associated to the financial system reset, right? Moving past this fiat currency as the dollar and de-dollarization campaign kind of moves forward. And again, if you look at where that really kicked off immensely was when Biden penalized Russia for the attack on Ukraine by kicking Russia out of the global banking system, the SWIFT system. So what you see is that you have these kind of wars that happen, but what happens is that as these wars are happening, that the global order that was established post-World War II starts to break down more and more. And so a lot of it is leading towards some sort of bigger reset because this old system is obviously beginning to fail. Okay, so here's a 30-second video from Trump talking about this in 2025, which might help explain his post he just put out about the greatest reset. So listen to this.
Many Americans are unaware that behind the scenes, the technical backbone of the financial system is decades out of date, many, many years out of date. You know that. Paul and others are straightening it out, but payments and money transfers are costly and take days or even weeks to clear. Under this bill, the entire ancient system will be eligible for a 21st century upgrade using the state-of-the-art crypto technology. Who would have thought we would have been saying that 2 years after many Americans?
So again, that's him last year talking about how this system is out of date. It needs to be kind of reset to a digital system. I mean, that's basically what he's saying there. Okay, the old system is out of date. It's not good. Let's bring in a reset for a digital system. Okay, this is nightmare fuel if you understand the role of digital tokenization of assets, digital currency, social credit scores. If you look at the fact that Palantir is essentially the operating system for our entire government now, it's kind of a pretty bad combination. But continuing though, this is recent. So Jamie Dimon has just gone on, national TV, and he said that, quote, crypto is better than the current financial system. The experiment phase is over. So watch this. This is a, it's about a 12-second video. Let's just take a look at this real quick. Jamie Dimon, the guy who runs JP Morgan Chase.
Blockchain is real. It's been around for quite a while, but now it's becoming more effective, more efficient because people are finding ways to do it faster and cheaper, permissioned or not permissioned. Smart contracts, I think, will probably be real. Blockchain is real. It's been around.
Just a small quote, but again, from that overall interview, right? He says we need to use technology to improve tokenization and blockchain. Okay, you've also then got, this is Ray Dalio. If you follow Ray Dalio, he's written some good books on this. Great guy understanding cycles. So he was recently on Tucker Carlson, and he basically said this is a 2-minute. I'm not gonna play the clip because we're just takes time. But basically, what he said here in talking about central bank digital currencies, they're coming. He says there will be no privacy. All transactions will be known, and if you're politically disavowed, you could be shut off. Right? We've already seen this. We've seen the debanking issues. We saw people like Dr. Mercola having all of his bank accounts shut down. So it's not just like it's some idea. It's already happening. Now, these are the current banking systems, but when we move to, as they're talking about, if we're moving to some sort of blockchain-based digital currency, whether they're calling it a central bank digital currency or not, it is the same thing. It's in essence a digital currency that can be centrally controlled. So this is a real problem. This is an absolutely real issue. And simultaneously, this is a recent interview with Sam Altman, right, who is the guy behind OpenAI, so ChatGPT. It's also strange if you look at the people's names, right? So we have Sam Altman. Like, what does that mean? Sam Altman, like alternative man? Like, it's just kind of strange. Anyway, Just watch this. This is a 38 second little clip here I'll play for you.
There could well be a world-shaking cyber attack this year that would get people's attention. It sounds like you agree with that.
I think that's totally possible. Yes. I think to avoid that, it will require a tremendous amount of work, also in a sort of resilient style approach. Again, it's not just like make one AI model safe. It is defenders. We have this thing called the Trusted Access Program, other companies have other things, but cybersecurity companies, the major platforms, the governments using this technology to try to rapidly secure their systems, the open source stack, all of that. That's quite important now.
There could well be a world-shaking.
So here again, Sam Altman, who again on day 2 was up on stage with Trump of his presidency, talking about Project Stargate, building massive data infrastructure. It was him, Larry Ellison with Oracle, and a couple other people. So this guy's, highly involved in what is happening. And here he's warning about this world-shaking cyber attack this year. So again, if they want to bring about some sort of quote unquote, as Trump says, greatest reset, an AI-driven global cyber attack, it's a world-shaking cyber attack, especially if it hits the financial system, could be the absolute perfect foundation for saying, okay, the current system is done. We got to move to some sort of AI-driven digital tokenization. All the things that I've been kind of shouting from the rooftops about, these things we're seeing happening, right? You're seeing this stuff being played out. So when's it going to happen? I hope it doesn't, but what you're seeing is all the signs are showing that they're pointing us towards some sort of massive change in our financial system where they're going to bring in some sort of probably AI-driven digital currency. And now they've got AI, they can tie the AI. They're monitoring everything about us. And so now they can bring in AI, and they can then, you have the energy crisis of between the Strait of Hormuz being shut down, and now, oil prices are going back up. Maybe it was going to go to $150, $200, $200 a barrel. It's just like, it's the perfect storm of basically kind of herding all the cattle or all the sheep into some sort of digital control system, right? That's just, unfortunately, that's what I see playing out here. Let's go back over to the comments and see. I see that I see someone, Loris Alt Banana on Rumble says Bitcoin ? I'm not sure what you're talking about, but I'm not a Bitcoin person. I'm not a crypto person. Again, as I mentioned earlier, talking about Rumble Wallet, I think it does have its place in a very limited amount. I think I own maybe $1,000 worth of Bitcoin that I bought a long time ago. It's sitting in a wallet somewhere. But yeah, I don't trust this stuff. Like, honestly, I don't trust it at all. I don't trust privacy of crypto. I don't think that Bitcoin is private. There's been a lot of indications that it's not. I think that our own government and the Israeli government had a hand in developing Bitcoin. So again, to be honest, I think that Bitcoin has been part of a global psyop to get people to adopt cryptocurrency, because if they wanted to roll out a central bank digital currency and they're moving from just fiat and say precious metals into crypto, that would be a really difficult transition. So if they can get a lot of people, especially the freedom-minded people, the people that used to be, ones that are, stacking silver and gold, if they can get those kinds of people to be like these first adopters, you get this huge movement of financial freedom by moving into cryptocurrency. It seems like it's a perfect setup. So, okay, let's go ahead and get to some more of the kind of questions and Q&A type stuff. So I see, Sue Smith over on Rumble saying, what are the symptoms of Lyme disease? So I think there's a lot of things. It's kind of a weird disease. I'm not an expert on it, but I've researched it quite a bit, especially looking, at my children, they're going to be affected by it. Fever, sore joints is one thing, very lethargic, low energy. Arthritis, I think, is very common. Like, it's, sore knees and sore joints is a big part of it. But there's a lot more to that. It's actually it seems like it's a very complicated, disease, or whatever you want to call it. So the Red Pill Lion there says Bitcoin was a creation of DARPA. It was going to be fraudulent as the Iraqi dinar and Zim bonds. Yeah, there you go. Said Vactus Bear says Bitcoin is not private. The on and off and on ramps are full disclosure. Tall Mommy, your Bitcoin is probably worth a lot more now. No, it's only worth that much. As at current rates, maybe it's like $2,000 worth of Bitcoin. I think I had at one point, I think I had bought around $5,000 in Bitcoin when it was around $15,000. Just as a curiosity, this is probably 8 years ago. I forget when. Anyway, I sold most of it because I was like, screw this. I learned more about it. And I'm like, I don't even want to be involved in this. So I guess I could have sold it, but anyway, who knows? But there actually, this leads into a perfect conversation, for perfect question, because there was, let's see, there was a question. Let's see. Let me find it real quick. That I had saved, I wanted to get to, and it was someone on Telegram. Yeah. Okay. So Glinda from Telegram had asked Seth, would you please explain in detail the change or coins we need for bartering? The small stuff. Are they only made of silver? I always listen intently, but not understanding what I should acquire. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, let's take a look at this real quick. So I brought a little kind of show and tell today. So Glenda's asking, basically understanding coins for bartering, the small stuff. And so I love show and tell. I was a kid in school. If it was show and tell, I'd bring in like a deer antler I found in the woods. Right? I always loved doing show and tell. So I brought some things to show you. So if you're looking at barter systems, and there's a lot of people that say, hey, why bother, it's kind of buying gold and silver. It's going to be useless in some, collapse scenarios. Okay. If there's, say like there's an EMP and the entire grid goes down, yes, maybe initially silver, gold will be worthless. I mean, people will be looking for bullets. I mean, medicine, some of the core survival things. But once you have a little bit of kind of structure emerging again, then you'll start to see silver and gold playing a very strong place in any kind of barter system. Now that's looking at like complete collapse scenario. But let's just say what happens if the financial system has a reset, right? What happens if your bank account, you go to log into your Chase account or whatever it is, and you get a notification that says, hey, due to a massive cyber attack, the system is now down. And then a couple of days later, it comes back and they say, okay, we're switching, and all of your dollar bills in the banking system have now been kind of changed over to some sort of digital token, right? There's a very real possibility that this is how it would play out. Now, I'm someone that would probably be penalized, right? If they're doing some sort of social credit score. I'm going to be very low on there. It's like, okay, my credit score is not bad. It's like, low 700s, but my social credit score would probably be like 30, right? Out of 900, whatever the amount would be. And so I've taken this really seriously. Like I don't save money in the bank. I save money by stacking silver usually. And so if you're looking as for Glinda's question, looking, okay, silver as a barter tool, I absolutely think that, to be honest, silver and gold are already great barter tools. Okay, as an example, right? So I'm working with an attorney on some, I'm not going to go into any details on it publicly, but I'm working with a really good attorney on some stuff related to, how do I put it? Understanding your role with the U.S. government and taxation, and how we're kind of essentially owned by the British Crown still and the USA Corporation. I'm not going to go into any details. However, in my kind of retainer agreement, like this attorney, as a patriot attorney, literally says that like this retainer can be paid in gold, right? So it's like, okay, it's this many ounces or whatever the equivalent is. So like that's amazing. Okay, and you're going to find there's a lot of people that will actually already will be taking silver and gold, right? As an example, right? So one of my favorite companies, let me pull this up real quick. So Heaven's Harvest, which is what I actually, a lot of my storable food is Heaven's Harvest. Okay. Amazing company. If you're prepping, really, whether it's you're buying seeds, water storage, food, etc. Heaven's Harvest is amazing. You get a great discount. Use promo code Seth. But here's what's awesome. Okay. Look up here on their website. We accept gold and silver. Okay. So this is amazing because these are the kinds of companies, the ones that are already saying, hey, look, we will accept gold and silver. So this is Heaven's Harvest. If they're already saying that, if there's any kind of central bank digital currency or whatever, you better believe these kinds of companies are still going to be honoring this. Actually, they're going to be doing it even more so. And so start looking. So this is why I'm all about shopping local, buying local, building local relationships. Because I guarantee, a lot of times your local farmer at the farm market, just ask them, right? Just say, hey, there's a guy who was back in Ohio named Al, who, he runs a great pig farm. And I talked to him about this. Actually, we were talking about, Creature from Jekyll Island, et cetera. So these people, if you ask them and say, hey, Al, if things go kind of sideways, can I buy food with gold and silver? Most people that are aligned with your values will say, absolutely, I will take gold and silver, right? So now to Glenda's question, so again, show and tell. Okay, so part of what I try to buy is this, called junk silver, right? So, back in the 60s, there's certain years, I'm not going to get into the details of it, but I think it's like pre-72. Again, I forget the top of my head. Anyway, so these are all 90% silver, right? So this right here, these are half dollars, silver dollars. So these are literally U.S. minted coins, right? Let me get the zoom in for you so you can see it, right? So these are literally 90% silver. They call it junk silver or constitutional silver. Now you can buy these from a variety of places. I've got my own kind of networks I buy these from. There's people I know that deal in this kind of stuff. But this is great because let's just say that, okay, so in my part of my show and tell, okay, so this is an ounce of gold right here, roughly. This is a kind of cool one. This is this is an 1873 $20 gold coin. Now, this just so happens to be, it's called slabbed. It's in a case. I have this. I used to have a business, years back, where I would just buy this. So I bought this from somebody in my office, right? So I didn't, I'd never pay a premium for this kind of stuff. This is a kind of a fancier coin. I bought it based upon the gold. Okay, so this now is close to $5,000 for just this gold coin. Now, you can't go to the farm market and buy beef with a gold coin. Now, if you want to buy a vehicle, say you want to, buy a tractor or you want to buy a piece of land, that's where gold coins are very useful. So in bartering. However, honestly, you can get I've got bags of these. This is a little dime. So this is a little 90% silver dime, right? This one is 19. What year is this? It's very, very small. This is 1967, I think, 1947. Okay, so the good thing about what they call junk silver or constitutional coins, constitutional money like this, is that these are government minted. So this little dime right here, you can weigh it. It's 90% silver, and so this is a really great fractional amount of silver, right? So this, which I always leave on my desk, this is a 10-ounce bar of silver. Now, again, maybe this is going to be good if I want to say trade this for, a quarter cow with a farmer. Then you have this larger denomination like this that can be helpful. However, for day to day, I recommend kind of stacking in all areas. It's good to have some larger amounts like this so you can just kind of buy them, and it's a good way of just storing your bullion. But the reason why I have, bags like these of just, 90% silver is because this right here is your farm market bartering. This is the kind of stuff that you'll use if you say we have a CBDC and you're not going to play that game, and say they're going to require you to have a Lyme disease vaccine from Pfizer so you can actually go to Whole Foods. this stuff is coming, right? This is absolutely part of the program. Go look at communist China. It's already live and active over there. So I will just refuse to go to Whole Foods. It's like when they're saying, hey, you got to wear your mask. I refuse to wear a mask. I'd walk into Whole Foods during the pandemic and they would say, I'd be the only person in the entire store with no mask on. And they would say, a manager would usually walk up and he would say, sir, we have a mask policy. You need to have a mask on. I'd look at him, I'd go, nope. And I'd just I'd smile, keep on walking. And they wouldn't know what to do about it. Like it kind of like it broke something in them. I was like, I'm not going to be controlled. I'm not going to wear one of these silly things on my face, like a dirty sock wrapped around my head. And so I wouldn't do it. So if they roll something out where they get to scan your kind of digital passport to get into a store, I'm just giving that store the big middle finger and saying, I will not participate. And so that's why for me, instead of having my money sitting in a savings account somewhere that could any day be kind of turned into digital tokens, I could lose access to it. This is my savings account, right? This, okay? And this, okay? So the other thing cool is that you can also get silver. So this is a 50-ounce bar right here, okay? So now obviously you can't go to the farm market and carry this thing around and trade for something. But again, say you need to buy fuel. You need to buy say you want to buy a cow because you want to raise a cow on your own property, right? That's where you get these larger chunks of metal are good. This is a cool kind of rough poured old kilo bar. Like look how cool that is. It's got like a patina on it, right? This beautiful old silver bar. This is a 1 kilo bar. So these are great things for saving. And to me, this is off-grid money, right? This is my protection from, look, if someone was like trying to attack me, if I threw this, you're talking David and Goliath here. I could take down a pretty big guy if I hit right with this thing. Of course, I wouldn't do that because I might waste it. But to me, this is off-grid money. Now, if you are looking also at bartering, so say, we talked about gold. Obviously, a 1 ounce coin of gold, this is a lot of money. Now, in a scenario where the banking system has changed and things are kind of going crazy and you're moving more towards this, you'll see that you can't measure the value of this in dollars. So this is something that actually a lot of people, it's not easy to understand this, but like when I say this is worth $5,000, it's kind of like I'm saying, well, it's worth the equivalent of $5,000 in an overinflated fiat currency. Like, what's the real value of this? Because it's not measured in dollars. Like, the measuring stick is broken. So to say this is worth $5,000, it's like, well, yeah, but your measuring stick is so screwed up and manipulated that that's not even a real thing. What you might find, though, is that in a scenario where more people are exiting the banking system, if there's a banking crisis or whatever, this kind of stuff will go through the roof in value because it's a real value. If you look at what happened in Weimar Germany after their currency collapsed, people that had gold, like if you look at the charts of the value of gold, it's worth like a million marks, right? And so the value changes significantly. But if you're the person that actually has the gold or you have the silver, right? This one silver bar in the future, even though like this silver bar, this is a 10-ounce bar. I think I bought it when it was at $25 an ounce. So this is $250. I bought it for $250. I bought it for. This 10-ounce bar right now, this thing could be traded for maybe a $5,000 tractor in the future because all the values change. And so you can't really measure it based upon, how much is silver going to be worth per ounce, because you're using a broken measuring stick of $1 to measure these things, especially once the currency, if the currency collapses, if it gets replaced, how do you even measure it? Well, it's actually in the real value, and that value just comes apart through bartering. Now with gold, you can also get things like these. So these are little 2.5 ounce little gram bars. So you can get fractional gold like this, these tiny little, you get these are 2.5 gram, you can get 1 gram, 10 grams. So you can buy gold in smaller amounts like this, which is really handy because it gives you a smaller kind of amount to barter with. There's also, I'm not sure if you're familiar with these, but you can also get, they have these things called gold backs, right? So these are called gold backs, and they figured out a process of literally putting gold into these basically bills, right? So this right here, this is a $50 gold back. So this bill right here has 1/20th of a troy ounce of actual gold. So again, the whole idea behind goldbacks, which I should do a show on goldbacks at some point, is they wanted to create they wanted to basically make it so that gold could be easily transacted and verified in very small amounts. So goldbacks are also really good for bartering. But beyond metals, if you're really concerned about bartering, here is your best barter tool. Okay, let me show you this one. This is going to be the most valuable metal in the world in a collapse scenario. It's called 9mm. It is lead and brass, right? So again, obviously, you can't go spin these right now, but if you're looking at a barter economy, especially in a situation where things are kind of a little bit kind of dicey, obviously this is different than buying silver, because silver you can very easily, it's a commodity. It's very easy to trade based upon its current value. But if you're really to be more prepared, having bullets, like honestly, you might get to a place where you might go to the local farm market and it's like, okay, how much is it for a pound of hamburger, right? A pound of beef. And they might say, hey, okay, well right now it's you can give me 5 9mm bullets for a pound of beef. This is the kind of stuff that emerges in a scenario like that. If you look at, again, I've read a lot of books on this. If you look at what's happened in countries where they've had currency collapse, where they've had civil war, et cetera, the kind of fake dollar bills of that country become worthless, right? Especially during hyperinflation. But if you have things like bullets, these things become extremely valuable. Okay. One other thing, my last kind of show and tell, is right here. Check this out. Lighters. kind of silly, but I bought these on Amazon back in, I think it was back in 2020. I ordered 500 Bic lighters. It's just kind of silly like that, I guess you could say. But tell you what though, a Bic lighter in a scenario where there is some sort of collapse happening, if you've got Bic lighters, you could trade a lighter for a whole chicken, right? Or for, maybe 5 gallons of gas. Because again, right now these things you can buy them on Amazon for nothing, right? So that's my perspective is that, okay, I use them, right? I've already used a bunch of these for lighting incense or my fireplace or whatever, but these are great tools for barter. So Glinda from Telegram, thank you for asking that question and getting us in this discussion. I'll do more. I'll be kind of covering it more in the future. But again, these are some, you have your core metals, you've got your brass. Again, same thing as cigarettes. I'm not a cigarette smoker, but if you store up, say, even cartons of cigarettes, look what happens in prison, right? That's the currency. You can trade 3 cigarettes for something. So in a situation where these things become scarce, you can trade it. Coffee. I've probably got 300 pounds of coffee just stored, because coffee would be a commodity that would have a lot of value in a barter system. If you can no longer get Colombian coffee anymore, or wherever your coffee is coming from, then that coffee in a situation where people can't access the grocery stores as normal, if you've got coffee, you could literally say, hey, I'll give you a pound of coffee for 2 pounds of beef, or whatever that looks like. So these are all things that you look at when you're getting into a more of a barter situation. So we'll get back to some more questions, and I'll bring the chat back up. Okay. Okay, here's a question from your ma'am, who says on Rumble. Better to barter 22 LR, 9mm only for people you trust. Water filters, certain forever foods like honey is barterable. Yep, that's true. Good point. Very good point. Yeah, so 22. I've got, God, I don't know how many, 3,000-4,000 rounds of 22. I bought just for that reason. It's so cheap. But yeah, so 9mm, yes, 9mm could be used against you. You'd be careful with that. We'll do more shows on this. But yeah, 22 ammo will be extremely valuable in a situation when you're dealing with these kinds of things, because 22 is going to be really effective for hunting small game, for rabbits, squirrels, etc. It can also be something which is used for self-defense, right? But yes, it'll be very, very good. Yeah, liquor. Yeah, I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to go over to Pennsylvania and just buy, I'll probably get 40 gallons of just Everclear, right? 40 gallons of moonshine, basically, because liquor, especially if you get into like moonshine, you get into like really high alcohol content, where that liquor can also be used for, it can be used for creating medicines. You can use it for distilling herbs and everything. So liquor actually becomes really important for that, really high alcohol content. But again, even liquor, even those little travel bottles that you get like on airplanes and hotels and stuff, those little Jim Beam or Jack Daniels, those right there could be great currency. Not to mention toilet paper, even antibiotics, right? So I've even got, again, I'm just kind of crazy, but I'm just kind of sharing my thoughts with you. I've got maybe, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of just little kind of pill antibiotics that I ordered from India. So you can even get things like that, where you can stock up on antibiotics. Because these things, in a situation where these items become scarce, these all have massive value. I'll keep in mind, okay, so I'll give you a quick update on the ARC. So the ARC is officially launching this week, right? It is, I promise it's launching. It's going to be, we're aiming for Tuesday, it might be Wednesday. But the ARC is launching this week. Just a little bit of backstory on this. So we initially set out to basically build this platform. We have a private community called the ARC, where people could come, they could share knowledge, they could help each other out. We were building out local chapters, and honestly, it was ready to launch a good month and a half ago. But what we did though is that we're using a third-party platform to build our community, right? For the ARC community. And so we realized that as we kind of look at things is that we wouldn't have actually full control of that. And so what's taken a long time is that instead of launching, say, a month ago with a fully built platform ready that was owned by somebody else, it was a software as a service, we decided that it wasn't resilient, right? I'm all about resiliency. look at like how many lighters I have, right? Look at all the stuff I'm talking about. So we decided that we had to just hand build this thing. And so my poor wife, Kate, I'm not kidding. Kate has been working day in and day out. She's upstairs right now in the office working. She's been working sometimes from 8 a.m. until 1 or 2 a.m. I'm not kidding. She's just a machine, but she's got a tech background. And so we're literally hand coding, like she's hand building the entire website. Now we have a full-time developer and some other tools that we're using, but we're literally, so the ARC platform, like we are building it. So we literally own every single line of code. We're going to have it hosted. We got multiple private servers that we're hosting it on. We're going to have multiple backups for banking. That's one of the other issues, is that the program we were using before to build it only used Stripe. And so Stripe has a history of debanking. And if they kick you off, you're screwed. Like literally, like the whole thing is like you lose everything. And so now I've got, I think, 4 different merchant banks I've set up, so that if one bank says they don't want us on there, whatever, for whatever reason, I've got backup banks. So we've just been working around the clock to get this ready. And so the ARC is launching literally within the next couple of days. We're doing our final beta testing tomorrow, and I can't wait. I'm not going to talk about it too much right now, but I cannot wait to share it with you. It is so good. I see a question here that says, is ARC internationally available? Yes. So actually, literally, like an hour and a half ago, I was looking at Kate. So what we're doing with the ARC is that, okay, so if it's a new concept to you, I'll give you a quick kind of understanding. It is a private community. So imagine Facebook, but it's a Facebook that we own that has way more features than Facebook. So it's a private community. You create a profile, you create a page. We have a business directory. So if you're a business owner, you can list your business in the ARC, okay? But what's also cool about it is that it's built around the idea of building offline relationships. And so we're going to have chapters in every state. So every state has its chapter. So I'll be in the New York chapter. We also have 8 regions in the U.S. So there's 8 regional chapters. Every chapter will have a chapter head. And then we're also going to have international chapters. And so literally, Kate was just showing me, we're going to have a map where you can click on the country and see how many members are in that country, and you can connect with those members. And so the whole idea, though, is it's a private platform. We've even set up end-to-end encryption for your direct messaging. So as much as WhatsApp, Signal, Even X, they're saying, oh, it's private. I don't trust that. So we're literally having a private platform where you have private end-to-end encryption. We're going to have an entire training catalog on there. So we've actually built out courses. So we're going to have all the fundamentals of preparedness in traditional living. You're going to have courses like, water essentials, emergency medicine essentials, home security essentials. And then we'll have all kinds of advanced courses as well that we're going to be doing on there. We're going to be doing weekly calls. So we're going to have a weekly roundtable that I'll be hosting. Accessing that, there's forums for different topics. You've got like homesteading forum, you have law and sovereignty forums. You can ask questions. You can put a question there. So it's like Quora. So it's kind of like a Facebook type platform, but it has the elements of Quora with question and answers, the elements of Reddit, which we have like these kind of deep discussions happening. But then you also have this local aspect to it where you can meet people in your own area. There's a map. So you can literally, if you want to, you have control over this, but you can literally look at a map and see where all the members are at. And you can see, okay, hey, what people are within 100 miles of me? Because I want to be able to help you to find people like me and find people like you. So in your local area, you say, hey, say you're in Georgia, you're part of the Georgia chapter, right? You go to, say there's a monthly meetup where you go meet people and you can have these kinds of crazy conversations about, government conspiracies together with people that you care about. So the ARC, again, it's launching I think either Tuesday or Wednesday. We're like at the final stretch. And my poor wife, it's taken such a toll. I mean, on our family, because she's working nonstop. My 2-year-old is still nursing and still like waking her up throughout the night. And so I'm having to kind of play homemaker. I'm cooking the meals. We have a nanny that works, but not kind of not around the clock. So we've been kind of juggling everything to make sure that we can get this thing done. And so it's launching. If you want to be on the list, to be notified, just right here, just go to buildtheark.com with a K. And you can just put your name in there and you can put your email in there. You'll join our waiting list. The waiting list right now, I think we're over 13,000 people on the waiting list. Now, not everyone's going to sign up. But again, buildtheark.com to join or to kind of be notified as soon as it opens up. Now, it's a paid community, so it's not free, and that was intentional. I wanted to make it free, but if you look at like Telegram, there's so many bots on there. Like we have to be able to keep all that stuff out there. But it's also like I want people that are committed to it, right? So if you're gonna be part of it, I want people that are gonna like really kind of put some skin in the game. And so the price, it's $17.76 a month, right? So $17 a month. But you get access to a huge library, like huge, massive book library, training courses, business directory, member meetups. I mean, it's like the value, instead of saying, hey, go subscribe to my Patreon and support me as a creator, I wanted to build something that gives you so much value that you're also supporting everything that we're doing to build this arc for all of us. But you're doing it, it's not a donation. Like you're getting so much value in return. And that was how we're doing it. So again, $17.76 is the price per month, $17 a month. Go to buildtheark.com if you want to add yourself to the waiting list. Okay, so back to some of the comments. Let's bring up this live chat. Okay, gosh, this is some good stuff. I always think, okay, man, if I can go for about an hour and a half, and then here we are, an hour and a half into the show, and I think I'm only halfway through. So I'll keep going as long as you're here. Let's see, how many people do we have over on Rumble? Let's see, we've got on Rumble still, we're up to, holy smokes, we're at 7,000 people on Rumble alone. Thank you, all of you 7,000 people that are watching on Rumble. Thank you. Thank you for supporting Rumble and supporting me. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, right? Smash that Rumble thumbs up button. Also, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. That's it. Subscribe to the channel is really, really key. Make sure you subscribe. And also just, like on the ARC, like I'll be really involved in it. So I'm going to be involved in my New York chapter. I'll be involved in my regional, I think it's the Northeast chapter as well. So I'll be hosting meetups. We're going to have an annual ARC retreat. I can't wait to do this, right? So we're going to do something where every year, and it'll be open to everyone around the world. If you want to fly into America for it, good for you. Amazing. But we're going to do an annual ARC retreat, because that's the whole thing about this, right? Is the most important thing about preparedness is having a community of people that you can depend on. And unfortunately, our communities have become so fractured. There's no shared moral fabric anymore in our society. And social media has become a complete, just like, pardon my language, it's a complete shit show, right? And I don't swear, okay? But that's what it is, right? Like my Telegram chat is flooded with Russian porn bots I can't do anything about. Because now with AI, they're everywhere. Twitter, you're arguing with bots on Twitter. Facebook is just a joke, right? Like Facebook used to be about your friends and your community. Now you go on Facebook and all you're shown is advertisements and marketing, and their only goal is to use an algorithm to keep you engaged in the app. So we're going back to like what Facebook used to be like 15 years ago, where you join this community. It's a tight-knit community, and you can just be together. Now, both sides, okay, I see both sides saying, too much money, I can't afford that much. So I don't want to leave you out of this. Okay, so what we're doing, it's not going to be from day one, but very soon after that, once we launch, I'm going to have the ability for you to get a scholarship, basically. So if you are someone that, because I don't want to make the price, I want the price to be the barrier for people that aren't serious. It's like, okay, if you'd rather have your Netflix or you'd rather have your Starbucks every day and you don't want to spend the money on the ARC, that's okay. But chances are that, you wouldn't be that committed anyway, right? So I want you to have a little bit of skin in the game. However, there are certain people that are literally living paycheck to paycheck, struggling. And so if that's you, once we launch it, we're going to have a little, I'll let you know when it's out here, when it's ready for that. You're going to be able to apply for a scholarship. And what it's going to be is you have to send us an email. You send me an email and you say, hey, Seth, look, this is my situation. I've already got people that have messaged me and it's like, I've got them bookmarked. You say, hey, look, I'm a widow. I'm retired. I'm on a fixed income. I can't afford that. I know times are tight. And so if you're in that situation, then we'll gift you a scholarship. Now you have to be active, right? I'm not going to be giving away free scholarships to people that are just going to be sitting there and lurking. So you have to be involved in the community, but I don't want the price to be the barrier. So if you're someone that is really, really struggling, then we're going to give you an option to let us know. And I want to support you still. I don't want to keep you out of this community if you really want to be part of it. Okay. So don't worry. Just kind of keep tuned. And if you're in that kind of situation, then I'll make sure that you can get in, honestly, because I don't want price to be a barrier for someone in that situation. But I do want price to be a barrier for someone that's just like, I don't really feel like paying the money for it. It's like, okay, that's fine, right? That's fine. But I would rather have a small community of a couple hundred people that are all committed and that really want to be part of that community. And that's my goal. So, I could price it at, $1 and maybe we've got 10,000 people in there every month, right? But it's not going to be the kind of community where you get to know people, et cetera. So anyway, yeah, here we go. Said vaccinist, sorry, I keep mispronouncing your name on Rumble. ARC membership, 522 bullets per month. Yes, okay, we'll get in trouble because I'm in New York, but if you can mail me 522 bullets and I'll give you I'll give you the information. Yeah, so both sides, yes, you say that's me. So again, so both sides, I'm trying to think what the email is. Well, actually, okay, both sides, just send an email to hello@maninamerica.com. Okay, so both sides, send an email to hello@maninamerica.com. Let me know what your situation is over there, and I will bookmark and I will set aside a membership for you on the ARC. Okay, because you've told me that's you. I believe you, right? Now, if there's people that are trying to game the system and like, oh, I can get something for free, we're gonna find out. Okay, I'm not gonna do investigative research on you, but you can just tell, right? And I think honestly, the people that are joining this, they're not people that are gonna lie about that kind of stuff. So, anyway, just again, email. Actually, Kay, maybe if you could drop that email into the chat, just so that both sides has it. So it's just hello@maninamerica.com. So, okay. All right. So continuing, let's kind of jump back into just some of these discussions here. Let me get a drink of my juice. 1 second. Okay. Now, let me pop over to YouTube and see what's going on over on YouTube. Sorry, YouTube, I don't pull you up very much. It should be apparent that my heart is in the Rumble camp. So, yes. Okay. Wait. There we go. Yeah. YouTube is absolutely throttling this channel. Like my channel is so throttled on YouTube. Those bastards. I don't like saying those words, but it's what they are. Yep, it's what they are. And TikTok, even though TikTok is now not owned by China anymore, I think I'm on my 6th TikTok account. They keep canceling my account. So TikTok is useless. And again, this is also why I'm building the Ark, is that like if you think that now that Elon owns X and that, there's no censorship, it's coming. Like it is coming. I think there's going to be another major round of censorship that's coming in the next year or two. So I'm trying to build an Ark that will survive that storm. So that's my intention. Okay. Getting into, yep. Yeah. Hello at man in, yep. So there we go. Actually, storms and stampedes put the email, but actually it's man in America, not man in America. So the comment there right here from the Man in America crew, hello, that's it. So, shoot me an email over there. Okay. That was from, let's see, who was that from? Both sides. Okay. Let's see if we've got some more other questions. Yeah, Sue Smith, the chat tonight on Rumble is nice. Yeah, this is also lovely because this is why I really appreciate this, because I'm seeing a few people commenting that where they've left comments. Actually, yes, sorry. So storms and stampedes, is there an annual payment of option? Yes, so there will be an annual and it will be discounted. I think it's something maybe like $170 annual. So it's I think it's like 2 months free, something like that. So yeah, there is an annual option that you will save on there, and so we'll have that annual option as one of the options if you want to do it annual. And I can't wait to show you. If I showed you the Ark, it's like the most beautiful social media site. It's human, right? It's not like Twitter or Facebook, which it's all algorithms and it's cold and it's black and gray. It's like it's beautiful and it's warm. So anyway, back to Sue Smith's comment saying the chat being nice. Yeah, I've noticed that actually. Like I think we're doing a good job. We're getting rid of the trolls, and it's just a lovely group of people here, and I really appreciate that, because I look at other chats like honestly look at any of the other live chats you see on Rumble, and it's crazy. It's like people spamming, they're fighting, they're arguing. It's just like the internet it brings out the worst of people. It brings out the best, but it also brings out the absolute worst of people. And so anyway, yeah, I really appreciate this chat. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to take a look at some of the other questions here. Yeah, also, Angelo Didi on Rumble says, this is a very smart chat and Seth has it down. Great show, Man in America. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, let's see what other kind of comments that we have coming in. Okay. Let's see. People talk about the Lyme stuff. We had some questions about Lyme, but I think we've moved on a little bit. Atlas B on Rumble says, why has glyphosate gotten a free pass? I don't know. The same reason that Bill Gates and Albert Bourla are dining at the White House with Mark Zuckerberg. It seems like they're all getting free passes. So, I don't know. Okay, Storms and Stampedes on Rumble says, what do you think about canned food? I heard the lining of cans can be problematic, though if it allows you to eat instead of die, then BPA in the lining is not a priority concern. Yeah, I mean, canned food, I agree that sometimes the linings of there, I think there are some issues with that, but I'm kind of in the same boat. I wouldn't recommend cans for long-term storage. Cans are good for 3, 4, 5 years. But if you're doing long-term storage, then I'd recommend getting into dry stuff. And I'll cover this more. Actually, there's gonna be a lot of tutorials on the Ark about this. There's gonna be, training material. We've got courses specifically on different ways of preserving food. So you can do, you can can on your own, right? With a glass ball jar, way better than a can. And so, that's a good thing. You can do, we've got a freeze dryer, so you can freeze dries and you can freeze dry and put into a Mylar bag. You can dehydrate. Actually, I was just talking, we've got dehydrator and we've got fresh chives coming up now. So we're going to go pick a bunch of these chives and dehydrate them. And so we've got dehydrated chives. So yeah, but yeah, dry food is best. One of the best things you can buy for long-term food storage is wheat berries. So you can get organic wheat berries, or non-organic, but we get organic. We get them from Azure Standard, and you can get them in 50-pound sacks, basically. And you can, then you can store those for, I think, like 20 years plus, actually. Like very, very, very long shelf life. I saw someone ask about the shelf life of antibiotics. I don't know the exact shelf life, but I know that if you buy them in the dry form, like what I have, they're kind of dry capsules. They've got a very, very long shelf life. Yep. Tall Mommy, I switched to Rumble for this show. That's great, actually. I'm gonna screenshot that and I'm gonna send it to one of my buddies over at Rumble and tell him that I'm helping to bring people over to Rumble from YouTube, because YouTube, ScrewTube. Actually, it was Sue Smith who had asked about the shelf life of antibiotics and storing them. I think storing them, it's just store them in the way you'd stored food or whatever. Just dry, cool. We have a little food kind of storage room that's in the basement that I keep really cool and dry. Yep, that's a good one. Please put a link to order meds from India. You just got to do your research. It's not easy, but it can be done. But I don't have a link off the top of my head actually for that though. You can find them though. Just do some research on that. Reddit's a good place. Hey, Annie P3, who just sent a Rumble wallet tip. Thank you. That's amazing. So Annie says, any concern with being on a watch list as you build up this platform? Yeah, I mean, I think I'm probably already on a watch list. That's why we're trying so hard to build it absolutely secure in the best ways that we can. We're also going to be we're going to have a satellite-based network backup, and so that's also part of it. Is that we're trying to look at redundancy as we should for preparedness, and having actually a satellite phone backup, so a satellite-based backup ARC network. Okay. Oh, actually, sorry, quick question. So this is great. So first time watcher. Let's see. Sorry, this was Candy Hatch. First time as a serious listener. Loving what I'm hearing. How often do you air? Do you have a specific time slot? Love most of the conversations on Rumble. Yeah, so basically, my main time slots they're a little bit kind of wonky, but Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's at 11:15 p.m. Eastern. It's kind of late. That's just what it is. Saturdays and Sundays, it's at 10 p.m. Eastern. So every Saturday, I publish one of my series. So let me show you real quick. 1 second here. Let me pull up this so you can see. So if you look at my channel, so this is my Rumble channel, which I'm now at 180,000 views, which is great. So every Sunday, I have this live show. It's called Sunday with Seth, and it's the format that you're seeing right now. It's back and forth. It is more relaxed. It's me just being live and interacting with you, talking about current events. Every Saturday at 10 p.m. So again, Saturdays and Sundays at 10 p.m. Eastern. Every Saturday I'm publishing series. So right now I'm working on what's called my Survivor Stories series, which has done insanely well. It's so exciting. So I just published this one yesterday. This was with a woman named Annika Lucas, who was sold into the billionaire pedophile network. Very, very powerful. It's pretty scary stuff. So look at that, 408,000 views. See, this is the difference. If I wasn't censored on YouTube, I would have millions and millions of subscribers. I'm not complaining. Like I'm actually glad that I've been able to find this amazing audience on Rumble. But this is just the reality of it. Is that like I would probably have 5 million subscribers on YouTube right now, and I'd be reaching a lot of people. But that's the problem, is that I'm not controlled. I'm 100% independent, and I will talk about things that I think are important. I'm wrong sometimes. I'm right sometimes, but I just try to ask the right questions, and I just try to be intellectually honest and honest with you about what I think is going on. But again, I feel great though that even on a place like Rumble, there we go, 400,000 views. So that was my Survivor Series with Annika Lucas. Last week, this is even crazier. So last week I had on Kathy O'Brien as my Survivor Series, 770,000 views on Rumble, right? That's amazing. That is so good. It's so good, right? Because this is in these series, it's heavy, but it's getting into MK Ultra, satanic ritual abuse, and that kind of stuff. So it's heavy stuff, but it's information I think needs to come to light. And there's no big channels covering this stuff. Like you don't see any kind of major podcasts. Like you would never see Matt Walsh sitting down with someone who is part of a satanic bloodline, and part of some sort of MK Ultra torturing. They just don't cover these things, and that's fine. I mean, I'm not kind of blaming them for not covering it, but I'm trying my best to get this information out. And so we're now, I think we've done 4 different shows for our Survivor Series, and those 4 shows are now probably getting close to 3 million views across those 4 shows, which is great, right? I'm so happy about that. So anyway, you would ask about my content schedule. This is it. So just make sure you subscribe to my channel on Rumble. A lot of my content I don't put onto YouTube because YouTube I can't talk about a lot of medical stuff. Actually, here you go. Look at this. Just had an interview with. I posted this. This is a stream from a previous interview I did with Dr. Brian Ardis about nicotine. Almost 700,000 views in 3 days. So absolutely beautiful. So okay, back to the chat. Tomahawk, thank you. $10, great. Yeah. Seth, if these Rumble people don't start hitting the like button, I'll be forced to start writing lots of sternly written letters. Yeah, thank you. That's a good threat. Yeah, that's true, right? Like, how many likes are we at? Let me just check it out real quick. 1 second. Well, I'm not gonna. If I refresh it, it'll play the audio. 1 second. Let me do that because I'm curious to see how many likes we're at. Yeah, we've only got 340 likes. Come on. Yeah, if everyone, hit that like button, right? If you're watching right now, hit that like button. So, yeah, thank you, Tomahawk. I really appreciate that. Really, really appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, so Sue Smith, that's the reality of it. With the views that Seth gets on Rumble, if he got those on YouTube, he'd likely be making 6 figures. That's true. Like, and actually, I know people that have really big Rumble channels because you meet these people, and I can tell you, and just being honest with this, Rumble, their advertising method, their kind of ad revenue setup is very different than YouTube. And so, like on Rumble, just from my shows on Rumble, advertising, maybe it's a couple $1,000 a month. Right? Which I'm not complaining. I mean, it's great. This is my career, right? I do this full time. My wife does it almost full time. I've got a production staff. So it's a business for me. And I'm very grateful to be part of this business and doing this. But yeah, that's the reality. If this is, okay, serious, right? If I was on YouTube and let's just say I had 5 million subscribers on YouTube, and let's just say that every video on YouTube was getting, say I'm averaging 1 million views on YouTube and I'm doing 16 videos a month. So 16 million views. If I was doing those kinds of numbers on YouTube, I would probably be making, I don't know, $50,000 to $80,000 a month on YouTube, right? Like you can make a lot of money on YouTube, and that's just looking at YouTube advertising. Like they've really maximized it. So instead, I think my most recent YouTube payout for a month was maybe like $300. So like that right there, that is censorship. Like that's how censorship works, is that it's not just about the views. They make it really, really difficult for people like me to even build a business off of this, because you have these people that are part of the system and they've got these channels with YouTube on YouTube, getting, 30, 40, 50 million views a month. They're printing money. Right? They're making a ton of money. Some people are making 6 figures a month with big YouTube channels, but I can't do that. right? So I'm not complaining. Actually, I love what I do, and I like, just kind of building a smaller kind of niche audience. But yeah, so there you go. Keith O'Higgins. If the Ark is docked, could I float for a visit on a pair of Christy Gnome's husband's inflatable breasts? I saw those pictures, and you could probably have 3 or 4 people on that lifeboat. So yeah, yes. Okay, actually, Glass Voyeur, can businesses sponsor scholarships for those in need? Yeah, absolutely. Actually, so send an email to hello@maninaamerica.com. And yeah, I think we'll probably have that. So if there are people that actually want to sponsor other people on the community, like, I'm happy to do it on my own. I believe in the mission, but yeah, if there's other businesses or people, if you want to sponsor another membership, absolutely you can. So again, for now, just email hello@maninaamerica.com. So yeah, thank you. Buck Sees, my mom thinks you're so handsome. I won't ask how old your mom is, but I'm married. I'm happily married. Just so you know. So yeah, I'm currently taken. I'm off the market. But tell your mom I appreciate that, and that makes me feel very, very nice inside. So thank you, Bucksees. Thank you, Bucksees' mother. Okay. Let's see. I think we're gonna be ending soon. We're coming up on like that 2-hour mark. So I think we'll be ending pretty soon. Yeah. Also, thank you. Yeah. So Man America crew, thank you for putting the email. hello@maninaamerica.com. So, yep. And so I look over that email, and also my mom actually helps me with that email. So it's a family business, right? So yeah, again, just shoot an email over there. Yeah, good joke. Knock, knock. Who's there? Hit the like button. There you go. Yep, there you go. Yes. Yep. Okay. Well, I think I'm ready to start winding down. I try to get through a decent amount of the questions and answers and everything. But yeah, I think that I'm ready to start winding down. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. I'll say it's been like a long 3 months. The last 3 months have been really intense. Yeah, just kind of working a lot. And also when she works a lot, I have to kind of supplement. So, I'm doing a lot of the kind of home duties, which I love it. I love doing home duties. And I love just being a dad. I've got a little 2-year-old named Grace and my 5-year-old named June, and it's great because when Kate's working a lot, obviously the kids want her, and there's a balance to that. But if they've got dad, it's kind of okay. And so today I took the girls on like probably an 1.5 hour long bike ride. I've got this little bike. It's like Bentley bike, not Bentley. I forget the brand. It's not Bentley. Anyway, so I took on a bike ride, and little Grace fell asleep in the bike ride. It was the cutest thing ever. And then we got back, and I realized I hadn't changed Grace's diaper in a couple of hours. It wasn't like, I'm not like negligent, but I was like, oh yeah, she needs a change. But we were outside playing, and she was outside playing, and so Kate was just like, hey, so we were on the trampoline. Kate was just like, hey, Seth, just take her diaper off, put her pants back on. She's outside. She pees outside. Who cares? She's not potty trained yet. She just turned 2 in February. And so I was like, okay. So I took her diaper off and just put her pants back on her. And she loves it, I'm sure. She's not wearing a diaper anymore. And, I kind of forget about an hour later, my other daughter, June, Dada, Gracie pooped. Gracie pooped in her pants. Actually, speaking of, I need to go scrub those pants because I didn't actually scrub them out. So anyway, I had to change a poopy pants mess earlier, but it's okay. I love being a dad. Maybe we'll have another kid. I don't know. I hope so. I love being a dad. It's just like the greatest. It's the greatest thing. Cass Ass Rumble saying, is his wife Kate in Rumble? Just want to follow. If so, no, Kate is behind the scenes. Yeah, she is behind the scenes. So I maybe once we launch the Arc, she'll probably do more stuff in the Arc. She'll probably do more stuff in there where it's more private. She's just not a person that like wants to be out in the kind of out front, which is fine. Yeah. Yep, that's it. There's another comment I wanted to respond to. I just saw. Sue Smith, when is baby number 3 arriving? Yeah, I'm not sure, right? It's in God's hands, right? So if there's supposed to be baby number 3, then I'll let you know as soon as I know. Well, not as soon as I know, but shortly after I know. And maybe I'll end up helping. Actually, our Grace, who was born Valentine's Day 2 years ago, I had to help deliver her because the midwife didn't show up in time. So it was a very fast labor. And so I literally, pretty cool experience. I mean, I'm not gonna say I delivered her because Kate obviously was working really hard, but I gotta be the one to help deliver my wife's baby. Just the two of us with our midwife on speakerphone. So that was really, really cool. It's amazing. Like again, this is like, getting back to traditional living, right? So we did home birth with June, home birth with Grace. I wouldn't do it any other way. Wouldn't do it any other way. So I love it. It's so wonderful. Okay. I think that we're good to go. It's midnight. Maximus, the best thing that ever happened to me was being a dad that changed a dirty diaper. It's amazing, isn't it? It's just like, I try not to be frustrated with any of this stuff. Though tonight I had to put June in the corner. She spent 10 minutes with her nose in the corner because she threw a pencil at me. we were sitting down and she wanted me to do something with her and write something, and I was doing something else. And she said, I want you to write something. And she threw a pencil and it missed me. I was like, June, nose in the corner. So she spent 10 minutes with her nose in the corner. Yep. Okay. I think that we're good now. I think that we're going to wrap up. Just a few reminders as we're wrapping up. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, I'll pull up just the ARC website. So buildthearc.com. That's ARK. If you want to get on the wait list to be notified as soon as it opens up, which is in the next couple of days, just go on there and put your name and your email on there at buildthearc.com. Which I'm so excited for this. Wait do you see? I can't wait to show you. I cannot wait to show you. Can't wait. So yeah. Also, just so you know, if you want, like, if you're looking for a website, so I've also got sethwholehouse.com. So if you want to share the show, or if you want to just find my other links, sethwholehouse.com. And this here has the links to the podcast, has the links to the ARC community, has a link to my book, which is coming out soon, and also Ready Score, which is our online assessment score for preparedness, which is free. And there's a contact form here as well. So if you go to, also maninamerica.com as well. So if you go to, actually, I think I can just click it from here. So yeah, maninamerica.com is also, hey, look at that guy. Look at that flannel. That guy always wears that flannel. I've got like 6 of these flannel. It's my favorite shirt. So that's why I wear it so much. People give me crap for it. So I don't care. I don't like, I find one thing, it's just all I need. So anyway, maninamerica.com. There you can find all of my links. So whether you're looking for my Spotify, podcast, Substack, Instagram, obviously you see TikTok is not on there. And then you come on here and there's also the contact page there as well. So that is maninamerica.com. And I think that's about everything. So yeah, good night, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. It's amazing that it's midnight and there's still, 5,000 people on here. So yeah, and just remember to like, to share. Yeah. And I've got some good content coming out this week. I think on Saturday, my next Survivor Stories is going to be an interview with Max Lowen. Again, I had her on about a month or so ago, 2 months ago. So Max Lowen will be coming out this Saturday. I'm also interviewing, this week I'm actually interviewing Bill Still, the guy that did the Money Masters documentary. So that will be kind of cool. I'm looking forward to that. And so I got some good content coming out. So again, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11:15 p.m. Eastern. Saturdays and Sundays, 10 p.m. Eastern. All right. That's it. Thank you. What a great night. Yep. Yeah, Sue Smith. That's the exact same shirt as tonight. Yes, that's true. It is. I've got many of these. I think I have maybe 4 or 5 of this shirt. So maybe it's kind of my signature shirt. Maybe I'll just always wear this shirt and only this shirt. And it's going to be a joke for people. They're going to say, hey, that Seth guy is always wearing the same shirt. He must smell really bad. But then if you know me, you know that I've got 4 or 5 of these shirts. So it is an LL Bean shirt. I'm a big LL Bean fan. So, yeah. And, that's it. Thank you everyone so much. Take care. God bless you all. Have a wonderful night. And, thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.